What's up, everyone? In this video, real quick, I'm going to show you how I skin out the feet of a coyote and get it ready for the tannery. So stick with me. Let's get skinning. We're going to skin out this coyote foot here. All that I use is a 6-inch fillet knife and a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of dikes, wire cutters, anything, just to cut the bone at the last joint. So when I'm skinning these guys out for my case skin during the season, I cut them off at their last joint. Essentially, it'd be our ankle or our wrist, and then ball them up, put them in a bag, and throw them in the freezer. So here we are, obviously late season, or excuse me, after the season, and I'm going to skin these feet out, get them ready for the tannery. So all that I got is, when I'm skinning them out, is I stop just before this big pad. I personally do not want to cut down and split that pad. So take your hand, spread that fur, and you'll see, just like skinning the animal, bring it right back through, bring it down like so, and just follow. Now, if you're not strong enough to hold that fur back, you can get a bench vise and put this bone in a bench vise and then pull back on the skin like so, and then take your knife and work your way around. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy down, and we're going to flip it. Now, in my opinion, the toughest spot is right here. It's starting this pad. And once you get that pad and it starts to turn, it goes pretty smooth, in my opinion. So it's just, there's so much fat and meat, and sometimes you got to just get your knife and get it down in there. And you kind of have to guess and just follow the contour of the foot with your blade and work it around. And keep coming. So right now you can see that is our big pad. Flip this up. You can see our pad. And you can see the fatty of the pad just right here under my middle finger. So I'm just going to keep working our way down. So what I do now when we get into the toes, just looks like fingers now. I'll shove my finger down in there, and whatever, I don't know what it's called, I don't want to call it a ligament because it's not a ligament, but there's just a little bit of meat or tissue that keeps them toes together. I just put my finger through and break it, and now I'm just going to work my way down. So what I'm going to do now is skin down to the last joint. The last place where that toe moves will be right behind that toenail. So you can see, I'm going to have one more joint. This is our next to last joint. So I'm going to have one more on this toe. Is. So I'm going to take my wire cutters, come down here, crack it, cut it off. Then just do the same thing for these next 4 toes. And there's our foot. And then all that you have is that last little bit. Of our foot. Now we're all skun out, and you could feel there's our toenail, and that bone is literally right there, which on your finger is this last pivot point. So now we got to salt it. This is just salt from Tractor Supply. All that I do is I take lure bottles. So I have a wide mouth 1 ounce bottle, excuse me, and then just a regular liquid lure bottle. And like I just did a skunk yesterday, and I use this lure bottle for the skunk, and I use this one for my coyotes and my fox. So let's get some salt in there, and all that we're going to do is just take that lure bottle, and we're going to fill this guy up with as much salt as we can get and pour it in there. It's going to take a couple. And I like to just wiggle these toes. wiggle those toes just like that and get all that salt in there to help dry this out. So there's one. Now this guy, I'm still gonna have to do the other 3 feet. They're still a little frozen and I still have to flesh it. But I'm just doing this to show you what I do. So, I mean, you could see how that plumps that foot up real nice and gets that full. And then what that's going to do is draw the moisture out of these pads and get everything nice and dry so that way nothing slips on that foot. But after that, pack that salt down in there. And that's it. And you can see how nice and full his foot is. So what that's going to do is, like I said, pull all the moisture out of these pads and everything else and keep that from, since no air can really get down into there with us still having that closed, it's going to pull that moisture out, let it dry out, then we'll get it ready for the tannery once I get these all done and fleshed out. All right, so right here's the finished product of a coyote where you could see those are the front feet. And I mean, it dried, that salt dried them pads out. Here's the back feet. I mean, same thing. That's what you want, nice and hard. And this guy right here is ready for the tannery. I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you learned something. And remember, we'll catch you in the next one.